RCB might win the match, but it was not the case. Happened with RCB today. I was in their full support today. Pratik, you can see like this is like really red t-shirt. Okay, RCB today, but they couldn't win it. I'm not mocking here, but yes, MI couldn't win it. RCB couldn't win it. Both each and everyone in the office is not really happy with the matches today. But we have to discuss about it. Delhi Capitals has won it by 7 wickets. Pratik must be happy today. But we have got Pratik to discuss about the same. Pratik, RCB couldn't win it, couldn't score much on the Delhi ground, which was supposed to be like at least it should have gone 200 to win the match. But do you see that somehow RCB's batting lineup couldn't do much about it today?
I think with 181 on board, I think RCB would have been fairly happy. Having said that, at the halfway mark, I'm not entirely sure which team would have been happier. It's very hard to decide. I think neither of the teams would have been absolutely, completely happy with their performance after the first innings. But I think the stat that I had read before the start of the match was that the average winning total on this ground in IPL is over 190. And more times than not, the chasing teams have won on this venue this season. So the odds were against RCB going into the second half, but somehow RCB, who won the toss, they were convinced that batting first is the right decision. They went for it. They still put up a decent total on board. Definitely defendable, definitely a very respectable target. Um, Having said that, yeah, stats show that they were probably 10 runs short. But then again, this is much more than the average first innings total, whether or not it led to winning or not. So yeah, I think RCB would think they were 10 runs short. But having said that, I think that was just very average bowling from RCB all in all, because with 182 to defend, you would expect a little more fight. At the end, it was just a walk in the park for the Delhi batters. And well, a team that is struggling as badly as Delhi Capitals are, it didn't seem like they were the ones who were short of confidence or lacked momentum. They thoroughly were clinical in their chase. Of course, in bowling, probably they had one or two problems, but RCB's problems with the bowling were bigger today. That was the difference in the end.
Right, and we have seen 7 different combinations used by RCB today against the Delhi Capitals, but they couldn't do it. They really wanted to. They are putting their efforts, but they couldn't do it. Pratik, if we go by RCB's bowling, as Pratik rightly mentioned, that there were some concerns with RCB's bowling lineup this time. So, how do you see this, like RCB's bowling lineup concerns and the combinations they have used today against Delhi Capitals, because they couldn't click that much, which they might be thinking it might happen, but they couldn't do it.
See, I think they left out runs for sure. And I think kudos to destructive capitals, dazzling capitals, because where were they hiding? This kind of performance, this is the kind of performance we expect from players who are in that side. Today, the manner in which Salt batted, yes, it was a short innings, but Warner showed great intent. The power play problem for them was solved, and it was coupled with, as Pratik pointed out, with some very lax bowling, I think, and not helped by the fielders either. Because for me, I won't term it a turning point really, but I think RCB had a great chance because Dinesh Karthik in the power play, fourth over, Parandu Hasaranga, Phil Salt batting on 17 of 11. He ends up with what, 87 of 45. He was dropped 17 of 11. You drop that. It's a very costly drop, and it was that person who took the match away from you. So, you cannot afford these kind of slip ups. It was a difficult chance, but you have to take at this level, you have to take these catches. And like I said, I think RCB's bowling, today, they are over reliant on people. They are over reliant on certain players. Kohli, Maxwell, Faf, we have been talking about them. In the bowling, that has been the case on Mohammad Siraj, because who is your power play enforcer? Mohammad Siraj. Today he had an off day, and you saw that they just took runs from both hands, both Salt and Warner, and then later on Marsh and Salt. So I think, and then the fielding approach as well. I think missing out on a few boundaries that could have been saved. You want to show intensity because you haven't really scored those many runs. 160 was par, is what Virat Kohli said at mid innings, and he was happy that they actually exceeded their own expectations thanks to Mahipal Lomror. But then you saw, you see that the opposition has hunted down the target 2-3 overs to spare. So you clearly perhaps did not judge the situation properly, because you're thinking 160 was good enough. Had they scored 160, perhaps they would have won by the 13th, 14th over. And the good part for Delhi is that they have not just won it, they have won it with wickets in hand, they have won it with balls to spare. And they need these kind of victories, because not only are they in the must win territory, every game is karo ya maro category wala game ho chuka hai unke liye. And in addition to that, they have to win it big. And this victory, I know in the last couple of victories, see, because you defeat Gujarat Titans, you defend 130 there, you come here and you hunt down 180 with great authority, with one person batting, one player of yours that hasn't been in great form. So it does wonders to your confidence. And this is what we have been talking about. See, one victory can change everything. You lost five on the bounce, but then that victory, you huffed and puffed to victory against KKR. Then they defeated Sunrisers Hyderabad, and they would be ruining that game, the reverse fixture that they lost in Delhi. They would be ruining that for the simple reason that that was another game which they had in their kitty. Had it not been for Marsh's dismissal in that game, they perhaps would have ended up winning that one as well. And we are again and again saying that this is a one season where you are seeing the table is so damn wide open. It's
Yeah.
50th game. It's the 50th game, and yet you cannot really pinpoint that, okay, these are the four teams which are surely qualifying, or these are the three teams which are surely qualifying. So if you are capitalizing upon the correct opportunities, you are going to get your rewards, and that is exactly what the Capitals have managed to do today. I think RCB, the biggest strength, one of their biggest strengths was bowling well in the power play. They were exactly the opposite of that, because they ended up conceding 61 runs in the power play and fluffed a catch as well. And on the other side, they are up against a side which is faring the worst in the power play, because Delhi Capitals are losing 22 wickets they have lost, I guess, in the power play phase, which is second worst after KKR. Against that side, and you have Siraj, who is bowling, who's one of the best power play bowlers this year and even in general. So I think it was a case of stars aligning in favor of Delhi Capitals and them being able to really capitalize on the correct moment. So I think great victory to them, and I think what 4 games left, if they can keep repeating this performance, you might as well see one of the stories of the IPL.
Right. Me and Prata used to talk about Delhi Capitals like anything, like every day whenever they used to play. We were like, oh God, this is hopeless. We don't know what to say to them. Like, there are a lot of concerns. Everything is basically concern for them, for Delhi Capitals. But somehow they've managed to come up the order, and then they try to, look into the concerns, and they try to come up with the solutions of those. And we really loved it. Like when Delhi Capitals, which was hopeless for us, and they're playing like this way, and even they don't have Andrik Nokia in today's fixture. And then they were like, it doesn't feel like they were missing him. Like the bowlers were doing great, batters are doing great. Everything was like on point. It was something which we really loved it. But definitely there's still room of, getting better of the game for sure for Delhi Capitals. But if we go to RCB's part, Pratik, today we saw, okay, Virat Kohli and Fab du Plessis again giving a good start to RCB, which is like we all know for RCB, Virat Kohli and Fab du Plessis has been doing it. But some way or the other on Twitter, people were discussing that it was a little slow innings by Virat Kohli, because it was 55 runs out of just 45 balls, I guess, not more than that. But how do you see this like innings? Do you think that was the reason why like he do scored the runs, but was it a little slow, which was required?
I think the fans on social media have a case. I think they might be partially right here. There have been so much talk about the strike rate, and is it really necessary for the anchors to play to have their role in this format or not, with some of the renowned experts of the game in the game. And today was one example where I think Virat Kohli really took a little longer to actually break the shackles and up the ante. I think he waited 10 balls longer to do so. And in the end, strike rate of 119 to 120, that's not good showing for himself. So the risk of you trying to build the innings very slowly at the start is that if you don't really up the ante very, very massively at the end, it can look very bad on your part. And today that was exactly the case. He couldn't stay until the very end, until the last over. He couldn't really convert his slow start into a very big score at the end. He got out in the 50s in 40 odd deliveries. And in the end, RCB were 10 or 15 runs short. And definitely, I think that put extra pressure on other batters. Glenn Maxwell departed for a duck as well. And Max Faf, he got out in the 40s in trying to up the ante on one end. And all in all, I think when there is one player who is slowing things down, it puts so much more pressure on the other players. And that has happened time and again this season, I fear, for RCB. And yeah, I think Virat Kohli for him this season, strike rate has been a big concern. There is no hiding that. And that is also the reason why Maxwell and Faf du Plessis, they have great strike rate as well, because they are forced to have great strike rates. And on a surface today where David Warner, Phil Salt, and other batters who, Mahipal Lomdor, where other batters really could get going quite easily right from the get-go. I think Virat Kohli probably missed the trick. I don't think it was the kind of surface where it demanded the kind of innings that he played, where he had to really build the innings from the scratch, try to build it up very slowly and hang in there. I don't think it was a matter of negotiation that was needed. But then again, there were other things as well for RCB's loss today. Like Pratyep pointed out, dropped catches, very average keeping from Dinesh Karthik. That has been a big concern for him over the last 2 seasons. But last season, nobody really spoke much about it because he performed really well with the bat. He was the best finisher in the season. And this year, he has been leaking a few runs behind the stumps, which is not really good because keeper is one person on the field you expect to not really leak runs, to not really miss field. He's supposed to be that one person who makes sure that everything is safe behind the stumps. But that wasn't the case today. There was one drop catch, there was four byes as well, and this has been a bit of a common sight for RCB fans. And from someone as experienced as Dinesh Karthik, we expect a lot more from him. And all in all, I think it was just a complete mess of a day for RCB. And for Delhi, on the other hand, it was a total finick of a performance. And I think, like I mentioned in the pre-match show, uh, RCB, when you look back, when you think about their season, you think, okay, yeah, they haven't been exactly great. They are winning, they're winning here and there, but at the end of the day, they're losing very badly. They're losing games that they're expected to win, and they're winning games they're expected to not really win easily. They're winning games against good oppositions and not winning games uh, when they are considered to be the favorites. So I'm not really sure what to make of it as an RCB fan. So,
The day is difficult for all of us, I guess, because a lot of people who are RCB fans, a lot of people who are MI fans, but they both have lost today. But let's take a look at the match summary of this match, RCB versus Delhi Capitals. As we can see right now, Royal Challengers Bangalore, they have put up 181 runs on board. After the loss of 4 wickets, then Virat Kohli scored 55 runs out of 46 balls. Mahipal Lomdor scores 54 out of 29 balls. Then Mitchell Marsh took 2 wickets and Mukesh Kumar took 1 wicket. Now, if we go to Delhi Capitals, 187 runs they have scored. Basically, they have chased down the whole score. Phil Salt scored 87 runs out of just 45 balls, and Riley Rusu 35 runs he has scored out of 22 balls. Josh Hazelwood took one, and Karan Sharma took 1 wicket. All in all, Delhi Capitals won by 7 wickets. Now we can see Phil Salt is some person today who has really done it for Delhi Capitals. Pratik, we were thinking, like we were talking about it before, like last match, in last to last match, I remember Phil Salt and David Warner, they started up together for Delhi Capitals, and then afterwards Phil Salt couldn't score, but David Warner did. Then the very next match, David Warner couldn't score, Phil Salt did, but this time again Phil Salt did, and David Warner couldn't do much about it, but he scored some runs. I'm really liking this opening partnership of Delhi Capitals now because this is very new to the game, and they are doing great. Like, can we say that they are a little stable as per the opening partners like David Warner and Phil Salt? Can we say that?
See, I think after Shaw's failure, once they added Salt and Warner, it did not really click the manner in which they would have liked, because the last three partnerships, the last three innings, the grand tally was 1 run, 0-0-1. So you do
Hmm.
not expect a change to backfire that badly, because उससे बेहतर तो शॉ और वार्नर ही कर रहे थे कि वो 5-6 रन जोड़ते थे, ये 0-0-1 जोड़ रहे हैं. So you did not expect that to happen. But today, what I liked about today in Delhi's approach was the intent. See, we keep on saying it's something which is very intangible, which is immeasurable, but you can feel it. You can see that they are wanting to score runs. Warner
Hmm.
scored what, 20, 22 odd of 15, 16 balls today. It's okay. It wasn't a great knock. It wasn't a very lengthy innings. But the point was that he was playing the perfect foil to Salt, and that is what you want. You want to complement your partner as an opener. So because Salt was going all guns blazing, Warner was getting into his groove. A couple of shots here and there. He got a four, he got a six. It's all right, but you have to stay there because up until now, the biggest problem that Delhi had was that no one was staying within the first 2 overs itself. You are perhaps two down, and when you are
Hmm.
on that much back foot, you always start to play the catch-up game right from there, which is
Yeah.
the reason they were not being able to put up scores of substance. Another great thing that we have been talking about every single show: promote Akshar Patel, promote Akshar Patel. They did that today again. Got
Yeah.
did not get a chance to bat a lot, but the first ball he comes whack out of the park. So this is a shot of a player who is in form, someone who is high on confidence. So it seems like Delhi had the perfect recipe today. Like I said, the biggest bugbear for them has been that they have had the worst power plays in the entire season. The scoring rate hasn't been good. The opening has been failing. You have tried a couple of players there, but nothing has been working. Today, both the things were solved. Akshar Patel was promoted. Your bowlers, bar, I think Kuldeep Yadav was taken away by Lomror. I think he was 39, 40 odd runs for him. Otherwise, it was a good effort by the bowlers as well. Akshar Patel again, even there with the ball, 17 runs, no wickets, all right, but just in 3 overs, 17 runs in a game where the opposition is scoring at 9 runs and over. I think it's a job well done. So I think most of the boxes were ticked, and you can see that in the reflection of it in the margin of the victory, because 20 balls to spare, 25 balls to spare, these are big victories, and these are net run rate boosting victories which Delhi is in desperate need of. So I think, and Salt, you have to give him a lot of credit, because after that drop catch, it was a chanceless knock after that. And the manner in which he dominated, because he just simply did not take the pedal of the accelerator. Constantly he was trying to attack, and that is something which you really want to see, because it's a star-studded batting lineup. You start looking at the names: Riley Russo, Mitchell Marsh, Phil Salt, David Warner, top gun players, gun overseas players. Even in the Indian contingent that we were talking about in the pre-show as well, Ripal Patel can hit the long ball. Lalit Yadav is a promising all-rounder. You have Akshar Patel, Priyam Garg, a young batter who can do wonders with the bat. So you expect this team to perform this way, but for some
Hmm.
reason or the other, they have just not been able to click that better. Today it was a case when the bowling clicked, when the fielding clicked. I don't think they dropped any catch today, and
Hmm.
they saved well. They perhaps saved 5 or 10 runs in the outfield, and these little things will go on to make the difference. Because see, in this format, the margins of victory can at times be 1 runs, 2 runs. So you never
Yeah.
know that a desperate dive that you put in to save a boundary might as well come and create entire difference in the end. So this is the kind of intensity we wanted to see, and this is what happens. See, when you click in unison, this is why we say कि एक टीम की तरह आपको खेलना पड़ता है, तब आप गेम्स जीतते हैं. In the last 2 3 games, what we are seeing with Delhi is that they are playing like a team. Even the game against Gujarat Titans, five
Yeah.
runs victory was very near, but you defended 130 against a side with the likes of Hardik Pandya, Rahul Tewatia, David Miller, and Shubman Gill, Vriddhiman Shah, and most of them are in form. All of
Hmm.
these are players who are batting well, but you still manage. You kept the belief, and you managed to defend the target. So I think this is the belief that was missing. Right now, Delhi is looking really inspired, and it does not matter whether they qualify from here or not. But this, ending the season, even if they end on the last position, you don't want to end up being battered and bruised. You want that at least you competed well enough, you at least showed some fight. That is a better way to end even last, even if you're ending last. So I
Hmm.
think they would take a lot of confidence with this. Four games ahead of them, and like I said, see, they have been an erratic side. 5 losses, then 2 wins, then another loss, but then two great wins and against two good quality sides. So if
Hmm.
they can replicate that, CSK is not going to be easy. Punjab Kings, I really don't understand that side. I have never been able to in the entire history of IPL. So I don't really know what they are going to do. They can do anything on their day. They can win from the most unimaginable of positions, and they can also end up fluffing up something which is very easy to be won. So I don't know about those two games, but Super Kings is going to be a real challenge for them to beat. They play at home and away, both games left. If they can, I think if they can actually manage to do that well, I won't be surprised if they actually manage to qualify. But I mean, for the moment, I think the think tank would be thinking कि ज़्यादा आगे की मत सोचो. Don't think too far ahead. Take it one game at a time. That has worked for them. If they can continue doing it, the best for them.
राइट, और आज के इस मैच में विराट कोहली की इनिंग्स ने उनको 7,000 रन तक पहुंचा दिया आईपीएल के, विच इज लाइक ही इज द फर्स्ट प्लेयर टू डू सो, जिन्होंने 7,000 रन रीच किया हो, एंड दैट इज अ ग्रेट माइलस्टोन टू अचीव. नाउ इफ यू कैन टेक अ लुक एट द प्लेयर ऑफ द मैच टुडे, बिकॉज वी नो फिल सॉल्ट ने जिस तरह की इनिंग्स खेली है वो कंप्लीटली डिजर्व करते हैं. डीसी को जो जीत है वो इनके इन रन की वजह से ही मिली है. 87 रन इन्होंने स्कोर किया आउट ऑफ 45 बॉल. तो ये रहे आज के प्लेयर ऑफ द मैच. वही एक बार टॉप परफॉर्मर्स देख लेते हैं इस मुकाबले की, किस तरीके से परफॉर्मेंसेस आई इन फर्स्ट इनिंग्स एंड सेकंड इनिंग्स. फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में महिपाल लोमरोड ने 54 रन्स बनाए, नॉट आउट गए. इसके अलावा मिचेल मार्श ने 2 विकेट लिए 21 रन्स देकर के इन 3 ओवर्स. नाउ इफ यू गो टू सेकंड इनिंग्स तो वहां पर भी कुछ ऐसी कमाल की परफॉर्मेंस आई. एक तो फिल सॉल्ट की थी जिन्होंने उनको प्लेयर ऑफ द मैच बनाया, और फिर राइली रोसो ने 35 रन्स ऐड किए 22 बॉल्स पे, विच वाज अ ग्रेट इनिंग. और डीसी को इनकी इनिंग्स ने इतनी मदद करी कि आज डीसी ने आरसीबी के अगेंस्ट ये मुकाबला जीता है. अब एक बार नजर डालते हैं पॉइंट्स टेबल पर, किस तरीके से पॉइंट्स टेबल फिलहाल शो अप हो रही है, इस मुकाबले के बाद कैसे रेप्लिकेट कर रही है. सो डीसी नंबर 10 से नंबर 9 पर आ गई, विच इज अ गुड साइन. आई डोंट नो वेदर दैट इज अ गुड साइन फॉर डीसी और अ बैड साइन फॉर एसआरएच, बिकॉज बहुत ट्रोल हो चुकी है नंबर 10 पर रहते हुए डीसी, बट एक नंबर ऊपर आ गई और ये डिफरेंस आया पॉइंट्स टेबल पर. एक बार आपको बता देते हैं, टॉप पर है गुजरात टाइटंस, नंबर 2 पर चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स, नंबर 3 LSG, number 4 Rajasthan Royals, number 5 RCB, number 6 Mumbai Indians, number 7 Punjab Kings, number 8 KKR, number 9 Delhi Capitals, and number 10 SRH. Well, that's really good to see for me at least, because I know Delhi Capitals को बार बार नंबर 10 पोजीशन पर देखकर मुझे बाकियों का नहीं पता, पर मैं थक गई थी. सो डैम श्योर वो भी काफी परेशान हुए होंगे इस बात से, और इसी के चलते ये चेंज आज उनके लिए काफी पॉजिटिव जरूर गया होगा. अब एक बार देखते हैं सोशल ट्रैकर, किस तरीके से लोग सोशल मीडिया पर डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. एंड यस, दिस इंसिडेंट टुक प्लेस ड्यूरिंग द मैच. When we saw the incident took place when Salt hits Siraj with 2 consecutive sixes and then boundary. और हमने वहां पर एक थोड़ी बहुत गहमा गहमी कहा सुनी भी सुनी कि किस तरीके से दोनों प्लेयर लड़ पड़े. लेकिन इसके बारे में अगर आपको ब्रीफ स्टोरी जाननी है तो जैसे आप देख सकते हैं क्रिक ट्रैकर का ट्वीट, वहां पर हमने स्टोरी भी लिंक करी हुई है. आप वहां पर क्लिक करके स्टोरी पढ़ सकते हैं और जान सकते हैं कि इस मुकाबले में इस तरह से जो झगड़ा हुआ इसका क्या कारण था और क्या बातचीत हुई दोनों ही प्लेयर्स के बीच में. अब देखते हैं अगला ट्वीट अबाउट द सेम. As Virat Kohli, he has managed to score 7,000 runs today, which is a great milestone. और हम देख सकते हैं यहाँ पर मोस्ट रन्स की लिस्ट में टॉप पर विराट कोहली, नंबर 2 पर शिखर धवन, नंबर 3 डेविड वार्नर, नंबर 4 रोहित शर्मा, नंबर 5 Suresh Raina. So a good score, like really a good milestone to achieve. Let's take a look at another tweet. That's how you play bold. Splendid 50 by Mahipal Lomrod. जिस तरीके से उन्होंने रन स्कोर किए हैं, जैसे कि प्रति और प्रतीक बोल भी रहे थे कि महिपाल लॉमरोड की इनिंग्स की वजह से थोड़ा इतने रन भी एडअप हो चुके, 160 ही सिर्फ एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे विराट कोहली, बट उनकी इनिंग के चलते 180 तक पहुंचा जा सका. अगला ट्वीट, देन कोहली एंड एबीडी, नाउ कोहली एंड फैफ. विराट कोहली एंड साउथ अफ्रीकन बैटर पार्टनरशिप, अ नेवर एंडिंग लव स्टोरी फॉर आरसीबी. एंड वी नो दिस, लाइक अगर यहाँ पर मैं एक्सपेक्ट करूंगी प्रत्यय और प्रतीक, अगर क्रिस गेल का भी एक इनको मिल जाता कोई और वेस्ट इंडियन इन दिस, लाइक आई लव ग्लेन मैक्सवेल, बट अगर अदर देन हिम क्रिस गेल की जगह अगर कोई और वेस्ट इंडियन मिल जाता जो कि आरसीबी से जुड़ पाता, तो वो पुराना ट्रियो हमें जरूर मिल जाता जिसको हम लोग ढूंढ रहे थे, लाइक विराट कोहली, सॉरी विराट, एबीडी एंड क्रिस गेल. तो वैसे ही हो जाता विराट, फैफ एंड व्हाटएवर द पर्सन दैट कुड बी. बट लाइक जस्ट अ वेग आइडिया ऑफ दिस, प्रतीक, if any person could have, any West Indian batter could have replaced Chris Gayle from RCB, which West Indian you think could have done that?
There is no replacing Chris Gayle. It's just that simple. He has played some of the most iconic innings in the history of IPL for RCB. The 175 or 66 balls. I don't see anybody ever replicating innings like that. And he's someone who carried RCB on his shoulders for 3 seasons in a row in 2011, 2012, 2013. Um, until Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers really got into the groove and started being the kind of valuable players that they were for RCB. It was Chris Gayle who initially took the responsibilities on his shoulders. In 2011, RCB made to the final, and I firmly believe that without Chris Gayle, I think RCB would have been shambles. But ultimately, they finished second, and they finished in the finals as well. And I think that was some individual performance in IPL. Um, I'm not really sure who could be the closest replacement to Chris Gayle in RCB because, yeah, you can't replace players like him. And of course, now talking about South African combinations with Virat Kohli, we have seen Jack Kallis as well in RCB in the past, who was
Yeah.
also a very you know, instrumental player for RCB. He was a prolific run getter, not just in internationals, which you all know. He was a very valuable player for RCB as well. We often tend to forget the players who were there before 2011 for RCB. Of course, we have had some iconic South African players, Dale Steyn. Um, when I think of West Indian players, there's just one man, the universe boss. And yeah, I mean, sorry. I think all in all, as long as RCB stops relying too much on the star players at the top and then trying to build a team around them, I think these problems are going to persist. Something that we have seen today and we have seen over the last decade or so. It's often the case that they build teams around two or three star players, and then we see a few uncapped players in the middle order, and then one really good bowler who will probably be the spearhead of the attack. And then once again, we see one or two uncapped players, and then a player who is still trying to uh, settle into the IPL. And all in all, we see a very unbalanced side. I think that is the main uh, reason why RCB haven't quite uh, gone on to win the IPL, but they have performed in glimpses. I think today it was just the case of, I think like Ian Bishop and Avishasi mentioned in the com box, it was salt as salt or something like that. And it was a case of salt rubbing salt and wounds of RCB, especially after the drop catch.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think after going back to the dressing room, all they would emphasize upon is that they need to understand the pitch much better. And I think today it was just RCB's top order over negotiating the pitch initially and then trying to play the catch-up game, and eventually probably being 20 runs short, 15 to 20 runs short. And when it comes to bowling, I think it was, like Pratay mentioned, the ace spearhead Mohammad Siraj. He was taken for runs, and then there was nobody else to rely upon. Of course, Vanindu Hasranga would be very much heartened by the dropped catch, but then again, there was no real chances created by the RCB bowlers. It was just pure destruction from the DC batters. They gave absolutely no chance. They made most of the chances they were presented initially, and one, as I say once again, RCB might have a shocking performance one day, and then the very next day, they might come out and play like the champions. Which is why it is very hard to understand, not easy being an RCB fan, because one day they would give you the hopes, and another day there would be reality check, and that was
Hmm.
exactly the case. In the previous game, they defended 127, 126, and this game we see them not being able to defend 180 or and for DC, though, they defended 130 in the previous game. Now they defend 182. Very different kind of wins. That would give them immense satisfaction going into the next game. I remember Pratyay mentioning this in one of the shows before that. Uh, DC might not have a chance anymore after losing five on the drought. It would be just about spoiling a few parties and just taking one game at a time. I don't mean to suggest anything, but in the previous years, with 8 wins in 14 games, it was enough for the teams to qualify for the playoffs. So you never know. Yeah, two very good wins, and you never know where they're going.
Right, the points table is already wide open as we have already discussed about it. But क्या वो इतनी wide open है कि Delhi Capitals might end up at the playoff? We have to see. But उसके लिए आपको क्रिक ट्रैकर के डिस्कशंस का पार्ट बनना होगा बिकॉज आज का तो डिस्कशन एंड यहीं पर होता है. बट कल हम फिर लौटेंगे दोनों मुकाबलों पर बातचीत करते हुए लौटेंगे हम लोग आपके साथ डिस्कस करेंगे बहुत सारा क्रिकेट. बने रहिए क्रिक ट्रैकर और देखते रहिए इन दी एयर शो.